What if instead of trying to amend your state constitution, we instead took some of the territory of your state and broke it off, making a new state with blackjack and hookers and localism? This kind of state separation or partition has historical precedent. For example, did you know that after the Revolutionary War, Maine was just part of Massachusetts? It had to separate from Massachusetts in order to get admitted as its own state. Our old friend, the federal constitution, has all the answers we seek when it comes to learning how to make new states out of the territory of existing states. It's basically a two-step process. First, the existing state, the one that's going to lose some of its territory, needs to hold a popular referendum or pass a law or otherwise appropriately and legally recognize that part of its territory is about to go away and become a new state. Second, Congress then has to vote to admit this breakaway territory as a new state within America. The way that Congress actually admits a new state into the Union is just by passing a piece of legislation, a normal law like any other. This has a couple of consequences. First, all you need is a simple majority vote in both houses of Congress in order to get a new state admitted. Second, presidents can actually veto the admission of a new state by vetoing the legislation that would add the proposed state to America. This process has political consequences. It means that if you're trying to admit a new state, the voters in that state need to vote in ways that align with the party that controls the presidency and Congress. For example, if you were trying to admit a new state where most of the voters were Republican, you would need a Republican presidency and a Republican-controlled Congress in order to achieve that. If Democrats controlled the presidency or Congress, they would make sure the new state wouldn't get admitted, because admitting the new state would, among other things, add 2 new Republican senators to the Congress, and Democrats in Congress aren't going to willingly vote to reduce their own power. Because of this, it's actually a lot easier to admit 2 states at the same time instead of just 1. That's because you can admit 2 states where the voters vote for different political parties, thereby ensuring that the balance of power in the Senate doesn't change at all. This is how Maine was able to be admitted to the Union. It was admitted at the same time as Missouri. In modern times, this means that the best candidates for state separation are rural Republican areas in large Democrat voting states. There's a couple of reasons for this. First, the urban-rural political divide means that both the urban liberals and the rural conservatives would be more than happy to start living in separate states from one another. Second, the fact that these areas that are trying to leave the state are conservative means that the liberal state government won't care if they leave. In fact, they might actually be happy because it'll further solidify liberal control over the state government. And third, the fact that this would create a new conservative state that's entering the Union would make it easier to find another new state to match with it. That's because we have Washington, D.C. waiting in the wings to be admitted as a presumably Democrat voting state.